In today's video, I want to give you guys a heads up that you can play a free PlayStation 4 game. Yes, Street Fighter V will be available free to all PlayStation users next week, and I do want to give you guys all the information on that. Also, want to give you guys the information on Borderlands 3. That game's release is just over a month away, and now the game is officially completed. It has gone gold, and it is ready to be released on September 13th. Death Stranding is a game that's still a little ways away. That'll be coming out on November 8th. Hideo Kojima put out a very interesting tweet. It looks like they're really in crunch time in terms of getting the work done on this game and making sure that it's ready for a release on November 8th. I think they're going to be able to comfortably hit that release date. But we'll take a look at what he said. And Devil's Hunt is a brand new game, and that'll be coming Q1 2020. Not a lot of you guys know about that, but we'll give you guys the insight on that at the end of this video. First up, play Street Fighter V free on PlayStation 4 and PC. The official Street Fighter Twitter account put out, starting August 1st, play the original Street Fighter V launch roster and Season 3 characters in Street Fighter V for free on PlayStation 4 and Steam. This newest Street Fighter V free trial will run from August 1st all the way through August 11th, giving players nearly 2 weeks to catch up with Ryu, Chun-Li, and the rest of the gang. The 16 base characters are going to be available, so all of the extra characters aren't available as a part of the free trial, but the free trial should give you an idea of what to expect out of the fundamentals of the game. Street Fighter V unfortunately was one of those games that one of the major flaws was the lack of content from the get-go, so getting the launch version is a little bit of a bummer, but in this case it's a free trial and not you paying $59.99 for it. The base game paying $60 for it did sting quite a bit given the lack of content, but now there's a sizable amount of content to it. Also, after Street Fighter V Arcade Edition that was released back in early 2018, it's a pretty good fighting game, and altogether I would give it a recommendation. And if you've yet to check it out, which I know a lot of you guys haven't, given the fact that it did release pretty early on in this generation, early 2016 I believe, you may have missed out on it, so do check it out as a part of this free trial. I do think it's been outpaced by some of the other fighters, but Street Fighter V definitely offers a lot to like, so give it a look. Again, from August 1st to August 11th, you can check out the base game absolutely free. Next up, I want to give you guys updates on some of the major games that are releasing later this year. Borderlands 3's release is just a little over a month away. Yes, it is almost finally time to see the latest release in one of the best franchises in the last decade. I don't think it's hyperbole at all in saying that. I know recently Gearbox and 2K hasn't been everyone's favorite developer and publisher, especially on the PC side of things, but I don't want to get into that drama. Borderlands 3 is a game that I am incredibly excited for, and Gearbox Software officially announced that the game has gone gold. What that essentially means is that work on the base game is done and it can now be printed onto disc. That doesn't mean that Gearbox is done working on the game, because of course they gotta work on updates, they gotta work on future DLC for the game, and I'm sure they've got other projects lined up as well. Gearbox is going to be fully operating. It just means that the base game of Borderlands 3 is done. Gearbox's official Twitter account put out, "We are pleased to announce that Borderlands 3 has gone gold. Thank you to everyone who worked so hard to make this happen. We'll see you September 13th, Vault Hunters." I'm incredibly excited for Borderlands 3, as it's been 7 long years since we saw a numbered Borderlands release. Of course, we did get Borderlands the pre-sequel, but that wasn't really a brand new game. Rather, it was an extension of what we had already seen out of Borderlands. With Borderlands 3, this is a brand new game, and it's a gigantic leap up from the previous games. Obviously, on the fact that this is the first Borderlands game that's been built for current generation. We got Handsome Collection, but those were just ports of existing games, as was Borderlands 1 remastered on the PS4. So this is incredibly exciting to see. The original shooter-looter returns, packing bazillions of guns in an all-new mayhem-fueled adventure. Blast through new worlds and enemies as one of 4 brand new Vault Hunters, the ultimate treasure-seeking badasses of the Borderlands. Each with deep skill trees, abilities, and customization. Play solo or join with friends to take on insane enemies, collect loads of loot, and save your home from the most ruthless cult leaders in the galaxy. Again, Borderlands 3 is due out on September 13th. Okay, moving on from that, another highly anticipated game for the rest of 2019 is Death Stranding. I was very surprised when the game was actually announced for a 2019 release, and it looks like that's coming together, but it does look like Kojima's studio is in crunch time in terms of actually getting the game done. Kojima tweeted out this, quote, "Death Stranding has the element of something never existed before: the gameplay, the world atmosphere, the visuals which we aim to create. The studio I established was tiny indies, but trying our best to deliver the product launching on November 8th, still in crunch time of development." He attached a picture as well that looks great. Death Stranding, again, is a game that I was so surprised was actually scheduled for a 2019 release. I figured just because we weren't hearing a ton about the game, considering we kept getting those trailers that really just added more questions than giving us clarity to what the game was, I was like, okay, we're not going to see Death Stranding for a little while, and then out of nowhere, it's announced for a November 8th release date. Now, obviously, this is gaming. You never know when a delay can come up, but usually Kojima is pretty good with his release dates when they've actually established a release date. The issue with Kojima is sometimes this game's take an incredibly long time to develop, but usually when they've got the release date down pat, then the game does come out on that specific date. And considering it's what, just 3 months away at this point, and probably would have to go gold in the next month and a half, 2 months, I imagine that Death Stranding's development will come together and the game will be ready to be released come November 8th. I do think that this is going to be a massive game release. When you look at the fall lineup, I'm honestly not as thrilled about this year's fall gaming lineup as I was in previous years. There's not a lot of titles that personally to me jump out. I know there's Borderlands 3, Death Stranding looks really cool. I'm still not completely sold on it, but I trust Kojima to deliver something of quality. But outside of those two games, nothing is really gripping me at a high level. Yes, there are cool games like Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but I personally am really excited for early 2020. I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but that's because Borderlands 3 and Death Stranding are kind of the highlights when you look at fall 2019. But to me, early 2020 with games like Cyberpunk 2077, Final Fantasy VII Remake, that's a little bit more enticing to me. However, with Death Stranding and Borderlands 3, that's still a massive duo of games to be released within the same time period, so I'm incredibly excited for those two games. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the development of Death Stranding does come together and it goes gold and the release goes very smoothly and it turns out to be a masterclass in game development as we generally expect from Hideo Kojima. Because in the case of Death Stranding, this is a game that if it's released and say it's a good game but not an amazing game, it is going to get that perception of, oh, this game's a little bit of a disappointment, oh, it's not that great. Death Stranding really has to be one of those game releases that is at the elite level because that is what we have come to expect from Hideo Kojima, and that's why relatively to every other game release, he does take his time, he does take quite a while, but then you look at the quality of the game, it's kind of justified at that point. Lastly, I do want to give mention to a game called Devil's Hunt that's been confirmed for a September 17th release on PC, and it will be coming Q1 2020 to PlayStation 4 as well. The game notes the war between demons and angels takes you to hell and back in a third-person action game. You are Desmond, the one man with demonic powers who can decide the fate of our world by joining either side of the conflicted. So this is a game that does look like it's going to have some choices to it, and it notes dive into the story, captivating storyline based on an original novel, enjoy the narrative, almost 100 high-quality cutscenes of up to 2 hours in duration. That's kind of crazy. 100 high-quality cutscenes is a lot. Now, is that 2 hours in totality of cutscene time, or is there a cutscene that actually spans 2 hours? 100 high-quality cutscenes to be fit into 2 hours of time? That seems a little crazy. But hey, if each cutscene is only like 1 minute to 2 minutes long, yeah, it would fit in that time window, so that's not too big of a deal. But nonetheless, something to note, it does also mention change forms. Humans and demons both have useful skills. Fight like a demon, TPP melee combat with large variety of attacks, combos, and enemies, and explore rich, context-sensitive environment interactions. This is a game that I doubt is going to get a lot of attention leading up to its release, but honestly, from a visual standpoint, given that it is coming from a smaller studio, it looks quite good. It harkens back to some of the other games. I see some similarities to a game like Shadows of the Damned. If you guys have played that, that was a Suda51 title. See some comparisons to a game like Dark Sector, which was a pretty obscure 2008 game release. Many of you guys aren't going to get those comparisons, but nonetheless, to the two of you that do, kudos to you guys and being well-versed in a lot of different games. I think Devil's Hunt is a game with some potential to it. Again, we'll know how it turns out given that it is being released on September 17th on PC. Console release will be coming early 2020. And that's going to conclude this video. Again, on PlayStation 4, check out Street Fighter V for free from August 1st until August 11th, and you can enjoy the base game's content free of charge. And then if you do want, pick up the entirety of the game, as it has turned out to be a pretty good fighting game and it's available relatively cheap. Borderlands 3's content is officially done. As far as the content that's going to come directly on the disc, it has gone gold and the game will be due out September 13th. Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding is finishing up. However, it really is crunch time as they've got to get the game ready for its November 8th release, and do keep in mind, they're not going to be able to work until November 8th. The game has to go gold a considerable amount of time before that, probably early October at the latest, so they're really putting the finishing touches on that game. And Devil's Hunt, a pretty cool new game, will be hitting the PlayStation 4 early 2020 PC September 17th. That's going to conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.
To make a choice, savior or destroyer, one or the other.
Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.